pedigree, blood and sweat. Cain Uncut, you ain't heard nothing yet.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Cain Uncut. I'm your co-host, Matty, and along with me, as usual, is my other co-host, the host of Cain Uncut, the legendary Sonny the Matty Go Cain. How are you, sir?
Fine, Matty. How are you? Welcome, wrestling fans, to a new edition of Cain Uncut. Lots to talk about today. We had a special guest, El Luca, who is tied up in scheduling today. He may make an appearance. He may not. We had to do an earlier shoot today, and that may have thrown his schedule off completely. So I'll continue to keep in touch with him and try and get him on the show at a later time unless he pops in on us during this podcast.
There's a lot of wrestling to talk about this past week, and I want to jump into some of which news broke this past week. I want to get your thoughts on it. Powerhouse Hobbs has left AEW this past week and is rumored to be signed with WWE. What's your take on Powerhouse Hobbs?
I think he's in the wrong league right now. I think he would be better suited for the WWE. There's no one that can really go up against Powerhouse at this point in time. And to put him in the NXT Championship title tournament is just a bad idea, I think, because he's so much bigger than most of the competitors in the contest, and I think it would be fair to the competitors competing in the competition if they would let him go on and get into WWE's main roster, and that way the younger talents could have a shot at making something happen. You got Ricky Starks, you got Miles Bourne, who's a favorite, you've got Brian Pillman's son. You got a lot of talent there just chomping at the bit to get a title. And I think it would be a more interesting contest rather than see this brute, and I mean brute of a man, just come plowing through like he did on the NXT promo for the contest this past week. I was just amazed. He's a wrecking machine. I mean, he took out the competition in the ring and cleared the ring after he came down to the ring and made his entrance. So if that should give you some idea of what to expect from him. So if ever there's been a man that's ready for WWE, it's Powerhouse Hobbs at this point.
Absolutely. You mentioned NXT. What's your take on them doing a 6-man ladder match on the 9th of February episode?
I think it's grand. I think the more main event type matches you have on NXT, the more people will begin to tune in and begin watching the matches again. What WWE and NXT, which is an affiliation of WWE, is trying to do is get people like my dad to watch who refuses to watch because they have these formed opinions about the sport as a whole. They're trying to get the older fans back in tune along with the modern fans, and it got so out of whack over the years that's just going to take a little time. What people don't realize about the history of professional wrestling is it came from the circus initially. So it broke away from the circus and became a sport later on, or sports entertainment, which is it's now called, and it has really developed over the years from where it once was. But the bumps are real, the moves are real, hitting the ropes is real, being thrown out of the ring is real. So I'm hoping to write a biography here at some point, and oddly enough, I've decided, Matty, to call it Cain Uncut. Professional wrestling ain't fake. And we're going to talk about various things in it that's what irritate the average bear who thinks they understand professional wrestling, because really a lot of people don't.
Exactly. Obviously with Gerald, I think it was Gerald that made you watch AEW.
Mm-hmm.
What's your take on the AEW women's division at the moment?
They're fantastic. I'm a Widow fan. I think Widow has earned her moment in the sun, and keeping up with her, keeping up with Mega Bain, just keeping up with about a half dozen of the ladies right now. I'm a huge wrestling ladies advocate in the business. I have been for many years. I've said this on one show to another, so I can't remember which show I said it on first, but they've been underpaid for years and underappreciated. They out-wrestled the men, in my professional opinion. That's all it is, folks. 2-1. I mean, they knocked down the men that hard. The men are slowly starting to make a return to where they should be, but it's taken a minute. And I got to give a shout out about my main man, CM Punk. I was talking a year ago to Gerald Bentley on Wrestling Spotlight, and I called it right down the middle. I said, CM Punk is in Hollywood doing the movie right now. I said they're not going to sign him on and not turn him into a superstar. I said that's just not in the cards. I said he's going to get the championship title again, and a year from now we're going to be talking about CM Punk. Well, here we are, a year later, discussing CM Punk. I have another bold prediction that I think The Rock is returning to the WWE as the final boss, and we ain't done hearing about he and Cody Rhodes yet. So I think there's more of that to come. It is almost unprecedented that the WWE drops the ball on the story this long, so that they are notorious, the WWE creatives are, for wrapping up stories once they get them started. So where do you think Drew McIntyre got Dusty Rhodes' watch from? The Rock. The Rock had it. I mean, if you look at the last involvement with The Rock, when he appeared last in WWE, he took the watch out the door with him. So that's my take on it. I don't think Cody said, here, use this backstage during their preliminary get-together conversation. But we'll see. So if I'm spot on, I'll be red hot on my predictions from that point on, man. That'll be 2 for 2.
You literally just have a massive ego, for temporary ego. Just say, yeah, I was right about The Rock. It was him with that watch. You mentioned CM Punk. While we're recording this, Monday Night Raw just finished in Belfast, Northern Ireland. And Sonny, you told me before we went on air that you caught the main event, which was CM Punk defending his world title against Finn Balor. What was your take on that match?
I thought it was phenomenal. The WWE, since taking Raw to Netflix, pardon me, still got my head wrapped around NXT a minute, has done a phenomenal job on stepping up their game to making pay-per-view type rosters, matches, headline matches that can be seen anywhere in the world. They have really put time and thought into their order of things and how they present their cards and their wrestlers, and they have just apparently, from AEW to WWE, they have all said the same thing: start hitting the mat and taking the bumps again, because everybody is taking the bumps now. We went through a stage where they were just hitting the ropes and nobody was ready making the mat ring out. But not anymore. Since Christmas to now, they have really upped their game on taking full advantage of the mat. Finn Balor, who I'm going to be giving a commentary on here at the end of the show, is just out of this world fantastic. Why he's not Intercontinental Champion again or holding the U.S. heavyweight title at this point in time is beyond me. It blows my mind. I did a commentary prep on him this week. All you have to do to be impressed by him is go to his Wikipedia page, and it just goes and goes and goes and goes, almost like a Ric Flair page. Finn had ought to really be proud of what it says about him and his accomplishments. Just a rugged individual who's really been around the ropes and up and down the road of professional wrestling. He's been everywhere and anywhere. And this is not his first time in a main event type situation, so he's not going to be as intimidated by the main eventers as some other aspiring wrestlers might be. We'll say it that way.
What's your prediction for him for this year? Where do you see him going after this main event?
After this main event, he's going to be a main eventer himself, I think, this year, more so than the past 3 years that he's been hanging out with Judgment Day. I think he and Dirty Dom break out of Judgment Day and go on their own. Mysterio break out Judgment Day and take off on their own, maybe even forming a tag team on their own. I could see that in the future, being that they know each other so well. But I think Finn is going to be a standalone wrestler and go after a major title. Again, either the Intercontinental title or the United States heavyweight title. And look out for Sammy's lightning in the bottle, who I named him that, Zayn. I actually got that from a fan on the internet who had that in quotes, but that fits him. I mean, he's just going to come back and get her done. I think Zayn is on the road to being the world champion.
Absolutely. And is mentioning Zayn, that fatal four-way, so we have Randy Orton, Tricky Williams, Damian Priest, and obviously you said Sami Zayn. What's your take on that fatal four-way, which is scheduled to be at Saturday night's main event this weekend? I think it will be Sami, but where do you go?
I think it'll be Sami and Trick Williams in the final two. I think Trick will make it to the to be in the final two of the four involved in it, and we'll see a good show with Trick in terms of his athletic ability and what he can really do in the mainstream. Trick was knocking it out of the park in NXT, so this is just a different place for him to work at this point. He again is not intimidated by the bigger stars so much. I think he's been surprised by the amount of attention he's gotten since he's walked in and said, "Hi, everybody, I'm Trick Williams." I don't think he expected an RKO right out the gate from Randy Orton, and I don't think he expected a walk up on by Damian Priest. But it happens, and when they do that to these younger talents, that's their way of passing the baton, folks. That's not just somebody walking up saying this and that to be rude or disrespectful. No, they are acknowledging that they could be the next champion in line for their title or for their notoriety, as it were. And I think that's what's happening to these younger talents like Finn Balor and Trick Williams. Trick Williams, if he doesn't get injured, is going to be the face. Is going to be the face of wrestling tomorrow. One of them, I think. He impresses me that much.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely. I got asked this question because it's been the most talked about wrestling show this past week. Did you watch TNA debut on AMC?
I did not get to see it. I've heard about it on other shows. How did it go, and what's your take on where it's going?
Well, I thought it was a really good show. It was a debut show on a new network where they try to get new fans in, so they went over the top, showed a lot of rivalries, promotional vignettes and stuff like that. There was only 3 matches on the card. When I saw the 3 matches on the card, you popped into my head, Sonny, because I knew you hate that. Because you want more wrestling and less entertainment.
Yes, sir.
So it was a lot of entertainment and new wrestlers appearing like Elena Black, who used to be Cora Jade in NXT. Sonya Deville is now Santina's assistant in TNA, so she's in there. There's a lot of great wrestlers. AJ Styles showed up. It was a really good show, in my opinion. But unfortunately, according to the IWC and other fans, they didn't like it. I think on Cage Match, they gave it a 1.73, which is really bad, apparently. So, can't please everyone, but they made it out for TNA Genesis on Saturday night. So, that was a really good pay-per-view.
Well, it takes time to get used to the bigger venues, and I will defend the organizations coming up now, finding themselves in the spotlight more. It just takes a minute. You have to sit down and map out the card, and if you watch WWE Unreal, you will see that they actually take a whiteboard and go top to bottom on all the matches, on all the moves. I mean, they are watching it like I am, mostly in the back room, and I'm glad to see this. And they're paying attention to every little detail. And I don't have a whiteboard, Matty, but what I do is I take a yellow notepad and I'm flipping my notepad and I'm going back and writing in my little notes as to who did what. And I'm paying more attention this week to the actual shows than I have been in the past, because that's what's being talked about, but because that's where the money's at. And if I want to get higher up at this, I need to be able to know what I'm talking about. So, but what I look for are impressive moves and real hard hitting bumps. And I can tell when the men and ladies have taken harder bumps than previous bumps, because they don't get up as fast, and they're not just selling, they're actually twisting around in pain from having landed on that hard ring. I'm telling you folks, the ring's no joke. Yes, the majors put a microphone up under it sometimes to amplify the bump. I don't see any harm in that either, since that's what gets the crowd rolling along. But the bump itself is the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
I was in WWF rings on the independents a lot, and I have a little issue walking from a neck injury I took in a real ring at the hands of Vladimir Koloff, of all people, when I was in training camp. So he was my trainer for a little while, or my co-trainer, assisting me and teaching me the moves. After he did that, Ivan pulled him, and Ivan went back to teaching me. But it's not the put on that people think. I think people have the impression that it's like in their house at these state fairs, when you walk in and you can bounce and you can flip and all these kind of things. While it's similar, it's not the same thing. You can ask veteran wrestlers like Matt and Jeff Hardy, who will tell you it's not what people think. That canvas is rough on the body. Hitting those ropes is hard on the body. You don't have on the shirt. You walk out of there, your ribs are jacked up sore. Depending on who chopped you, you may be suffering cracked ribs even. I experienced those a couple of times. So it's hard knocks in there. And that's just a soapbox, man. I don't mean to go on, but anyway.
I heard a crazy story. I think it was on the Bruce Pritchard show, Something to Wrestle With. He said that the WWF rings got changed in early 1999, when it was Vince McMahon versus Austin in St. Valentine's Day Massacre. I think it was February. and Vince took a real couple bad bumps on that ring, and they said it was like concrete. And then soon as he took bumps on there, he changed the ring and made it more better for the wrestlers. So it had to take Vince.
The rings I worked in, Matty, had cast iron dividers going all the way across the ring, and then squares going across the other side. Usually it's not cast iron. Usually it's other material, but the old rings were cast iron, and they would put these rails in, and then they would put the 2x4s on top of that, and then the mat, and that's it, folks. And sure, there's a spring underneath, but all that does is that ties the ring into the ring. That is not a spring like a traditional spring where you go bouncing like a kangaroo. No, sir. That is pulling everything together and pulls the ring post into the ring so they could do their job. It's a well-oiled machine. And if you have the opportunity, Matt, to go to a live show, if you could tape them setting up a ring, that would be awesome to show the people firsthand here at home how they're put together. They are solid as a rock in there. It is the Wild Wild West.
I've been to a couple of shows in the UK. I want to say it's Southwest Wrestling. It was at a show in my hometown, Bristol. It was in a church. Proper indies kind of wrestling. Love it. It was really good. There was street fights and everything. And after the show, you stay there and get pictures and talk to the wrestlers and stuff like that. Other half of the wrestlers are dismantling that ring, and I've seen things I never seen like in a wrestling ring. It's crazy. They're doing the ropes. They're taking off the ropes. They're taking out the mat for the wood on the mats. It's just stuff I didn't know was under the ring. It was crazy to see.
Right, you got your 2x4s or 2x8s, and you've got plywood on top of that. You got your canvas on top of that, and all that's tied down, and nothing's supposed to move when the men and women are in there working. But sometimes the top rope breaks. The top rope broke a couple of nights on me, and I went bouncing across the top. And one of the things Luke and I got into, the gentleman who was supposed to be here today, I don't think it totally irritated him, but it was different than he's been trained to do, was how to take a bump over the top. And I was trained to always hit the ropes with my arm loose on the top, but holding on. And had I not been in that position both times, Matty, I would have been busted wide open. But when I grabbed hold of the top rope like I did when I hit it, was holding on, and the thing broke, I was already leaning into the fall. So I was able to just lean back a little further and fall onto the ring apron, which is what I did, and the crowd applauded. So the crowd wasn't expecting that, but they say it's choreographed. Okay, I'll go along with it being choreographed to a point, but you got to know how to do what you're in there doing. It's like any other job. You can't go to work half done, and that's why these guys make such good movie actors and fight scenes throughout Hollywood, because we know how to fight. I was in a fight a couple of years ago in a public place, and people were surprised that I won the fight because I knew a thing or two more than the kid did, but I'd been down the road and I knew he didn't know how to wrestle, and that's how I beat him. I used wrestling moves. And had I not known him, he'd beat the tar out of me. So maybe. We had law enforcement there, and they wouldn't let me use all my martial art moves on them like I wanted to. I said, well, can I do anything? Yeah, defend yourself. All right. So that's what I geared down to. But he attacked me out of the blue, Matty. I'd never known him before. And come to find out, he'd been taking some things, and he was off of them, and he thought he was Rambo or something. And I was in his way.
I've heard stories about if wrestlers get into bar fights, and they lose, the promoter will fire him.
Mm.
I heard Eddie Graham did that in Florida.
Yeah, I heard something about that too. I never could get a job bouncing. I am on security at my church, and it was funny because the head pastor there and our pals, and he knew my background, and he knew and I guess my size appealed to him a little bit. He says, "You're on my security." I didn't even have to ask, really. He just he said, "You're going to sit here. You're on my security." I said, "Okay." I said, "Does it pay?" He said, "It will eventually." I said, "Okay, now you're talking." I'll sit. Money talks.
Absolutely. Talking of money, I don't know if I've asked you this when we were doing interview shows, but what was if you're happy to say this, what was the highest earnings you did in one promotional show? What was the highest earnings you had?
$250 plus table sales.
Oh yeah, the table sales. Do you feel wrestlers today got easier or worse than you guys in the early 90s?
It's more accepted today than it was in my day. In my day, we were looked at as renegades and things of that nature. Wild people and all kinds of words that people could come up with to call us, they would. And it's just more accepted now than it was in my day, because it's funny to me. I was in the church world during the 90s when the NWO came, and there is a whole biblical attachment to the NWO arrangement that wrestling fans may know about. I'm not going to insult anyone's intelligence and say they don't know it, but that's a little bit biblical, that there's going to be a new world order one day kind of thing. And they would dog me bad and say, how can you be so proud to be a part of such, and things like that, of such a sport or such a show, and just on and on and on. I'd say come back with its entertainment. If you don't believe it, just turn it on and look, people are there. So you either are a fan or you ain't, and that's the way it works. In wrestling, there's no black and white. So it is, or you is, or you ain't.
What's your obviously, we just had Monday Night Raw in Belfast. We had SmackDown in London at Wembley Arena. They were in Germany last week when we spoke about their shows in last week's episode. What's your take on international fans when they do these kind of shows, like AEW come over here in England? What's your take on how loud the fans are compared to American fans?
Oh, they're fantastic. That it's such a much better welcome now than in the early days. They're more in tune with what we're trying to do as a franchise, as a group. I'm not a part of a major group at this time, but they are more in tune with the notion of expansion than they were back in the days of old. The fanfare's gotten used to it now. It's like doing these podcasts. I went out in town a couple of weeks after I made the paper, 2-3 months ago, right before Christmas, for having gotten a second title on Wrestling Spotlight, and fans were friendlier to me and came up to me and actually spoke to me about having seen me in the paper. Hey, how's your podcast going? This, that, the other. They were in tune to what I was doing. I didn't have to go out and ask anybody. And now in about another month or so, when I get my title belt from Wrestling Pedigree, I'm going to be in the paper again, the Mount Olive Tribune and the Goldsboro News Argus simultaneously. and folks will be bringing up on that, and here we'll be going again. But they are more in tune to what's going on now. It's more of a culture now. It goes back to what I said initially. You're either into it or you're not. People either like soap operas or they don't. People like boxing or they don't. So there's no in between, and it's just grown to the point that is having to go to streaming to keep up with things. So
Yeah.
it's literally outgrown cable TV.
Oh god. Oh yeah. I mean, there's such a high demand now. I mean, like you said, wrestling back in the early '90s were a dirty word. Pro wrestling was a dirty word.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be like keeping this a secret. Oh yeah, like Hulk Hogan or I like Sting or something like that. And now I could walk down the street with a wrestling shirt and everybody was like, oh yeah, yeet, everything like that. So it's crazy how
And you'll get no more the more you do this. That's why I tell my guys at Ring Tanks, the more you do this, the more people will get to know you. And the harder going for that cup of coffee will be, because people will be getting in front of you, wanting to talk to you and shake your hand and maybe even get a few autographs. It's not entirely a far-fetched notion that they'll be wanting autographs. I've signed a few since I've been away from the ring, and or said hi to people and spoken to them a minute longer than I would have. So what I have come to realize is, Matty, even your haters are supporters, because as long as their mouth is moving about you, it don't matter what they're saying. As long as it's moving.
I usually have 3 words, and that's usually fuck the haters. So there's so much. What's so great about, like I said before, what's so great about pro wrestling is it's the perfect escapism from the real world.
Right.
I listen for most of the day. It's been on my phone. It's been on my Facebook news feeds and stuff like that, about politics and war and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, Monday Night Raw comes on at 8 p.m. here, and I'm escaping for 3 hours. It's the perfect escapism.
Yeah.
And like going to Progress this Sunday, it's just to get away, just have a couple of hours, just enjoy entertainment, watch I think the craziest and best athletes and that, and just enjoy pro wrestling and just have a great show. It's the perfect escapism. So if people want to bitch on it, then they haven't experienced it, I don't think.
Right. And I mean, how can you not watch it a little bit without to earn the right to fuss about it?
Exactly.
It's like if you don't vote, you can't fuss about the man in the Oval Office. In my opinion, you've got to at least vote.
What's your back in your day? Women's wrestling, what was because you said you're a massive advocate for it now. Back in your day in 92, 93, what was the women's wrestling like in the indie scene?
They would come in 1 or 2 matches a show, but nothing like now. They would be bought in as a side show almost. And I think the average female wrestler who's from that time might would agree with me. Occasionally a promoter would put on an all women's thing, but it was nothing like it is today, in my professional opinion. It's never been looked at as in the same way that men have been looked at, and I think they do a much better job than men until here right lately, since about Christmas time to now. The men have really stepped up their game and come a ways and said, all right, we're going to have to do what H wants us to do if we want to stay here. So,
is there any wrestlers that you can remember that women that were back in the day?
Sir?
Was there any women wrestlers back in the day that you can remember?
Susan Tex Green would be one. I met her a couple of times, and she gave me some pointers on how to do things better in wrestling. I actually went to her training camp in South Carolina and got beat in an 8-man tag match. Those are hard to do, by the way. They're no joke. The final move was all 8 guys were in the ring. So
Oh, wow.
I wasn't ready for that, but there we were. And I was invited back at that time, but my highways led to North Carolina, and that's where I most know North Carolina, Virginia area a little bit. And although I am from South Carolina, but Medusa came out around that time.
Oh, really?
In WCW and Nitro area, she was back in that. And I'm reading the book, and I meant to have it tonight, but I'll have it for Saturday's charity drive, which I want to talk a little bit about for your benefit. If we go over, that's fine in a few minutes. It's called Say Hello to the Bad Guys by Mark Ramadani, and it talks about the height of WCW and the lows of WCW. It's a really well-written book. I'm reading it for 2 reasons. I'm reading it, 1, because it appeals to me, and 2, Joe Bentley's going to have Mark back on the show some with us, and I want to be able to say I read your book. So that's my motivation for reading this book. And it's kind of a Hulk Hogan, what's the word? I can't think of the proper word now, but it's kind of like an Hulk Hogan offbeat biography of Hogan at the last of his career. And it talks about a buddy of mine, Sean Waltman. True story. On the independent, Sean and I wrestled each other back and forth. He won some, he won a few, I won a few. And it was just real crazy, interesting to me that Sean became the benchmark for who got in the NWO and who didn't by working them in the ring. Yes. So again, I had to encounter somebody on my climb that I wasn't overlooking, but it's a surprise sometimes where these guys go to. And I was going to get his number at the last show, but he said he'd give it to me at the next show, and that's how we left it. And he just took off after that. So, I mean, like a rocket. But the last thing I said to him was, "Sean, you're going to make it." He said, "How did I know?" I said, "Because you got the look." And I said, "Somebody will be picking you up." Of course, he said I had it too, but you know, you never know where a guy's going to go, or a lady for that matter.
Exactly, and there's always been the known information that Vince will, when he was like 1, 2, 3 Kid or X-Pac, if Vince wanted to test a wrestler, to put him against X-Pac or Shawn and just see, and then ask Shawn after the match to say, is this guy good enough for a run? I didn't know you wrestled with Shawn Waltman. That's like, growing up, X-Pac was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I mean, I may have done DX chops a couple of times in school to a couple of teachers, but apart from that, so when you were talking about Nitro, so me and Steve, when we did Wrestling Pedigree, we did a Nitro from 95 to 97, discussing all the events and what happened.
Cool.
And we mentioned Medusa. And Steve has an amazing story about, because he obviously around that area went to a sign-in convention, and he was a young kid. He wanted an autograph of Medusa, but she was... back then you don't understand it, but now you do. Is obviously he wanted autograph. She was really busy. She said sorry, no. And then Steve, for the past few years, like from that time, always said fuck Medusa. So now whenever we mention Medusa, it does it clicks in our head that saying, "I'd love to have her on the show just to see Steve's face." Um, did you? What's your take on intergender wrestling? So we had it at TNA this past Saturday with Ryan Nemeth and Mara Saeed. What's um what's your take on intergender wrestling?
I think it's going to be a part of it. I think these are the early days of the new gender approach to things. Whether it's your religious beliefs or not, I think you have to accept it because it's just here now. And what are you going to do? I mean, they should have rights too, I think. And I think it's wrong to say we're just an all male and female country here in the United States. I may get booed off the mat for that, but that's my feeling about it. And yes, I consider myself a religious person, being in the church, active and all that. But accept people for how they are, and you can't just knock out a whole idea of something. That's wrong in my opinion. Whether it's right or wrong, it's not always up to you to decide. So people are doing what's best for them, and I think they should be treated like any other athlete in the industry. And at some point, I think it's going to be integrated to the point that it's just going to be there.
Yeah.
This is a new day in sports.
So you obviously knowing you for a while now. I know you're a big advocate of Chyna.
Mm,
So when Chyna was in WWF, she had a great Intercontinental title run.
hmm
Do you feel that is her best work that she did, like with Jeff Jarrett and Chris Jericho and Hardcore Holly and stuff like that? Do you feel that was her best work when it was man versus woman, or when she went for that women's title against Ivory, as she did woman on woman?
I would say neither. I would say to me, her greatest work was wrestling the men head
Yeah.
on and outright, and I think she should be put in the Hall of Fame for that because that became her specialty match was to wrestle Chris Benoit and other
Mhm.
men along the way, and trying to break that gender barrier that is now finally in 2026 starting to be broken a little bit. And it's just amazing to me how time sometimes doesn't move a great deal, and then all of a sudden, bam, you're there. But China was ahead of her time, and I just missed China. China was at the lady's house that I was talking about in South Carolina, Susan Green, for 2 weeks. I got there about 6 weeks after she had left. Ain't that terrible? Missed her by that much.
Oh,
she had pulled out and gone, and was going to go to another area and try and live there. And man, I mean, what was the odds of that? But we tend to stereotype people, and I think that's what
mm,
how wrestling irritates the people who aren't fans, is because you can't stereotype wrestlers, and they go so against the grain. I mean, you had guys who were doing different characters back in my day too. So I mean, it all isn't male female type thing. You had the great Adrian Adonis, who I thought was phenomenal. I met him a couple of times, and he was just great every time. You
that's
had
him.
beefy guys like the British Bulldog. I'll tell you that story by meeting with him a little later, but it just you've always had your ones that stood apart from the others, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So,
Um, go on a different segue to this. So, we are doing Wrestling Pedigree is doing a charity stream. It was supposed to be this past weekend, but unfortunately, life came first. And we scheduled for this Saturday. It will be 2:00 Eastern. So that'll be 7:00 British time, and it will finish. Basically, it will finish after Saturday night's main event.
Okay.
We'll be doing live watch-alongs and stuff like that.
And I'm coming on at what time?
You can go. You come on whatever. So with the live stream, we're starting. Obviously, like I said, at 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. British time. We're kicking off with a special Ross Report show. We're just going to go through some of the wrestling this past week and do a music trivia segment. Then we'll have Wrestling Pedigree coming on with me and Steve, and then Sonny will have his special Cain Uncut and see how long Sonny will last until he gets pissed off, and then that's the end of that. It's aiming for 8. It's supposed to be 8. I'm trying to do 8-hour stream, so it's from 7:00 my time, so it'll be around 3:00. So by the time then, Saturday night main event should end, so it'll be a good time to do it. But yeah, everybody will be on. We'll have some.
I'm coming on at 4, right?
Or
do you want me at 2?
No, 4:00. 4:00's good because I got Mr. Ross.
4 until.
I got 4 until whenever you like. I know you'll probably will watch the wrestling anyway, the Saturday night main event.
Yeah.
I got Ross up too, so yeah. Just it'll be some Cain Uncut will be on at 4. And then we'll have Wrestling Pedigree after and all the chaos and stuff. But yeah, it's 4 good calls. It's also just have fun and come on and talk wrestling and give your opinions where people won't shit on you like they do on the internet, especially on X. And just enjoy professional wrestling.
No, that's what we want to do here, and that's what I'm hoping to do with Cain Uncut. And folks, I don't just want to be a wrestling podcast analysis. I want to be a wrestling podcast analysis / journalist, and I want to report on wrestling and deviate from the rumors and gossip to what's true. So this is a golden opportunity to see if I could cut it on my own and doing my own thing. I've had 2 years of prep school work under my main man, Gerald Bentley, here in the U.S. of Wrestling Spotlight and True TV Plus. And we're going to be putting those techniques and tools into play that he's taught me along the way of how to get her done. 2 years, I've not missed a show with Gerald. So I've got a perfect record at this point. I take these podcasts seriously, folks. It's my breakout moments in wrestling. And if you give your word, that's what you base your whole deal on, is keeping your word or forwarding, not picking on anyone here, or forwarding a reason as to why you couldn't make it that day. So was just talking to somebody about that over the weekend, and I said, your word's your bond, kind of. So things come up, but you got to keep your word intact. So, but we're hoping to have fun with this show, and I'll be on from 4 until the final bell on Saturday night. So I'm not so old I can't make it to midnight.
I was going to say, you're going to come on to the watch along.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a part of the watch along too.
That's good then. So you'll have to. I don't know how you're going to do that. You got a TV in your in your bit?
I don't, but maybe I could sign up with y'all and just hear what's going on through y'all or something like that. Do I need a TV in my room to do that?
What's it on Peacock? I think you can get Peacock on your website, can't you? There's got to be some
I've got
way.
Peacock on my phone.
Yeah, you could just watch it on the phone and then yeah, do it that way.
Yeah, we'll do it that way. I'll use my phone, and I checked in today to getting ESPN's link app to WWE since that's what I'm going to be doing this year. And internet says I'll be a huge hit doing this, so I guess we'll see. We'll see if they're right or not. But I'm doing it, Matty, for one show at the time.
Yeah,
I'm not doing it for the big picture at this point.
I've been told for years to do a watch along because I literally just live through it. So there will be some times where I'm just going batshit crazy if someone comes out that I didn't expect. Especially if it's The Rock.
It's going to be The Rock, I'm telling you. Man
also,
sits on the TKO board.
Oh yes. He also Wrestling Pedigree is having some collabs in the next few weeks with Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast, very well known in the UK.
Cool.
And also we are going to collab with I Love Wrestling podcast that is based in the States.
Cool.
So yeah, there's a lot coming up, and yeah, it's gonna be a fun, very much a fun couple months on Cain Uncut and Wrestling Pedigree and the Ross Report. So,
and you guys are coming to Wrestling Joe Bentley's Wrestling Spotlight with Wrestling Summit. True story about how Wrestling Summit came into being. So when I was on Wrestle Dad's podcast, which is where I met Luca initially, believe it or not, we had a segment called the Round Table. So I took the Round Table idea and we presented it to Gerald and to Dan Dady on Ring Takes, my other buddy, who I appear on monthly. And Dan is keeping his version of it, the Round Table, but Gerald calls it the Wrestling Summit. And I think that's so cool because it'll be the 7 of us on the show at the same time discussing the cards and talking about whatever we want to talk about wrestling related. So that'll be fun. And what I want is viewer fan interaction. Any questions or comments that you have that you want to send up, you can't feel free to. But remember, on live TV, you can't take it back. So it's not like other deals where you can hit the delete button. So think about that a minute before you send something up. And just really tickled to be in the lane I'm in doing this now. It's I couldn't say no to this, folks. So, you know, I mean, it was presented and I walked through the door and I just hope for the best with everything else. So it's like Steve Harvey says, sometimes you got to jump and take the cuts on the way down. So,
that's true.
And that's why I did. I jumped without a parachute. I don't recommend not having a chute. But anyway.
I jumped. I'm still flying without no parachute. Following on what Sonny said, I am so when you leave a message, if it's not live, just put in the comments. We always look at the comments and we'll read them out the next time we're on the show. And yeah, so whenever you might see me on Ring Takes, also try to set that up with the guys over there. And you'll definitely see me and Steve on the Wrestling Summit. And that's for sure.
Okay, and I got a message for you at the end of the show. I just got word from Luca. So,
Okay, dokes.
He says he could do 8:30 tonight if you want to do an extra segment with him this evening. That's up to you. You want to get them on for 30 minutes?
Well, we'll talk about after the show and see what we
Yes,
go
sir.
for. So when we end the show, we always end it with Sonny's commentary. So who do we have today that you already?
You're not going to believe this for timing. We have the amazing Finn Balor as my commentary. I thought it was so neat. Hold on one second. Get back into my device here. The device that used to be called the phone. Okay. Wrestling fans, I'm Sonny the Man Eagle Cain, host of Cain Uncut, as you know, and this is this week's commentary with talking about Finn Balor. So it starts. Listen up. It's Sonny the Man Eagle Cain, and this is Cain Uncut. Friends, we are standing on the edge of history because Monday, January 19th, 2026, WWE is doing something they've never done before. They are broadcasting Monday Night Raw live from SSE Arena in Belfast, Ireland. You want to talk about parallels, you want to talk about destiny, then look back to December 2015 when a brash motor-mouthed kid named Conor McGregor walked into UFC to take on the unbeatable Jose Aldo. People called McGregor a yapper guy who just knew how to cut a wrestling promo. In Dublin, McGregor nearly caused a riot when he sold Aldo's championship belt. They called McGregor a heel, and his mental welfare was right out of a wrestling storyline. Before the fight, Jose also seemed unbeatable, a man who hadn't lost in 10 years, but McGregor didn't just win. He erased a decade of dominance in 13 seconds with one left hand to become the first undisputed Irish UFC champion. He didn't just take a belt, he put a whole nation on the map. Now on Monday in Belfast, we've got Finn Balor stepping into the ring against CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship. Balor isn't just wrestling for himself, he's walking the same path McGregor blazed. He's promised to bring a new Irish World Heavyweight Champion to his homeland, and the air in the arena is going to be thick with the same electricity that filled Las Vegas when the Irish fans turned the strip green and white. It is a can't-miss night. Don't forget about Becky Lynch. She's coming home to defend her title against Maxine Dufresne. Fueled by the same notorious fire, ready to prove she's got the greatest of all time in front of her hometown people. McGregor said it best, precision beats power and timing beats speed. Tomorrow night in Belfast, it's not just about scripted entertainment, it's about that Irish heart. It's about 2026 being the year the Emerald Isle takes over the game again. The Man Eagle sees that the world is watching and history is about to repeat itself.
Wow. That's good. That was very good.
So that's a taste of my commentary. I do it on Charles' show too.
I mean, Finn Balor is like, this is the guy who created the Bullet Club.
Yes, sir.
This is the guy that's just unbelievable talent, and hopefully he'll be in the main event card for forever now until he retires.
I stake my reputation on it. This is not his last main event fight of the year. He did too well during this to be put back to where he was and left there.
Absolutely. So this is going to be a touch in the nerve now. Sonny, where can people find you?
People can find me currently from here moving forward on X at Sonny Cain, at the Man Eagle 1995. Drop me a line, leave me a note. I'll answer you back. People can reach out to me on my podcast during fan interaction here on Cain Uncut. I'm encouraging that as much as I can because it's a new way of going about things. And people can contact Matty at Wrestling Pedigree.
Absolutely.
and send me questions through Matty, and I'll be glad to answer your questions. We may even talk among ourselves, Matty and I, bring some fans on the show. So we'll just see how the year plays out.
Oh yes, definitely. We'll definitely 100% do that. Yeah, you can find Wrestling Pedigree on Facebook. Please, Meta, don't be a dick. Put Sonny back on Facebook.
Yay.
You can find Wrestling Pedigree on Instagram and YouTube, Wrestling Pedigree 92, and you can find us on TikTok at Wrestling Pedigree. Once again, apologies. We were supposed to have El Luca on. Unfortunately, due to personal reasons on my end, we had to start the show early. And obviously, our schedules got mixed up. So we will be arranging, hopefully soon, El Luca to come on. I'm hoping Saturday for the live stream night.
I'll ask him. And fans, we have heard from Luca during this podcast, so he's interested in coming on. He's still working the 9-to-5 job. He works 10, 12 hours a day. So his day's always not a set time of when he can get off. So that's in his defense.
And I absolutely know that feeling because I do kind of the same as doing stupid 13-hour shifts. Yeah, so from us, so we'll be back again Saturday for a special Cain Uncut along with the live stream, charity stream. And then we'll be back again on the following Monday. Yeah, the following Monday, the Monday after Saturday.
I thought about that too. I thought, gosh, I'm back to back.
I know.
I'm on there 12 times a month now, folks, between the 3 shows.
Yeah, I literally got to do Ross. So I think after that, it'll be, so Cain Uncut on Mondays, Ross Report on Saturdays, and Wrestling Pedigree on Sundays.
All right.
So we have that schedule. So Saturday and Monday, you'll find all our content, unless we have some special guests and surprises for you guys that will advertise on our social media. So it's goodbye from me and Sonny.
So long, wrestling fans. We'll see you Saturday at the charity drive.